Hi, my name's Colin. I'm from Stockport in the UK, and today I'd like you to join me in painting this watercolour. Hello and welcome to Paint Watercolours with me, Colin. I hope you enjoy this one. We're going to set off with a really wet, juicy background. I've already wet the paper, but I'm just making sure there's enough on it because this is going to be a real wet one. Now, just to tell you, there is some adverts in this video because, let's face it, YouTube pay the rent and they pay the staff, so I think it's only fair we do our bit. I'm just setting off with this. Is just straightforward Naples yellow, and what I've actually done, I've got the paper laid flat and we'll put it at an angle, and into this Naples yellow and all the other colours I've added some Arabic gum, so it just makes it a little bit more controllable. On that, this is cobalt blue and burnt umber. Oh, see how juicy that, oh, that looks great. Lighting it off as it comes down. That looks great. I'll pull some in. I've left some light patches around the tree areas that will draw your eye to the branches when I put them in. Strengthen this up in the corners. There'll be no clouds in this one, it's just a very straightforward wash. And just let that have its way for a bit. Just take out some of the light bits where I'm going to put the branches on later, so they'll stand out. You need to let that dry. Then we'll put some misty trees in the background, but this has to dry a little bit. Now the shine has nearly disappeared off the paper, we'll just pad in some background bushes. Now this is a stronger mixture of the sky colour, which is cobalt blue and burnt umber. I don't want too much around these trees, you're just giving a rough general shape. It just adds interest in the background. Just pull some in down to the land area, just let that drift. Just maybe strengthen it up on the tops. It just makes it appear that it has bushes. And to that we'll drop wet into wet. A real thick mix of the sky colour now. And we'll just see how this goes, just in case, and we will pull some background misty trees through. Now this paper's really wet, so it doesn't matter if you end up with little plops. It all adds to the interest. So this is the cobalt blue mixture and burnt umber. Maybe there's one here, here. Forgive my arm. But timing this is important. If it's too wet, it will spread just about everywhere. Touch stronger in the bush. You can spend a lot of time planning this. I'm just trying to cut down the video time. Maybe I'll just strengthen that middle one a touch with a damp brush. Take the excess off the bottom, mist it out in some areas, work it around the trees, leave that to dry. Right, welcome back. It's time to move forward a bit of the land, so I'm just going to re-wet the area. I've done this other side, it's just to save time, it's just all the land area, and into that we're going to drop some lovely colours. We're going to put some Naples yellow in because it's in the sky, spread it about, and into that we have some cadmium yellow with a touch of yellow ochre in it, just to brighten things, cheerfully brighten things up. Into that I think we'll drop some cadmium orange because we're going to end up with a autumn looking scene, and we also want to drop some browns into that. So this is a bit of light red and burnt sienna. And if we need to drop Just a little bit of grey in, so it ties in with the background. And here, I'm just going to drop in some burnt umber. I've also mashed out the rocks when we come to put the water in. Okay, once that is reasonably dry, what we'll do is we'll put some foliage on these trees. Now this is a mixture of cadmium yellow and yellow ochre, and I just want to put it towards where the light's coming from. So load your brush, and put it on the side, and drag until you get the paint to break up. You can take your time on this. It's just to show the yellow. When you put the yellow on, it gives it more of a chance to shine through. This you'll get the general idea. Some light red. Bring the two round, two together. Some once again in the middle. Okay, now you've got it like that. Now's the time that we put the shadow side in. This is just a little bit of ultramarine and burnt umber. I'll just finish these trees off doing the same thing. I'll turn the camera off. Okay, it's time to do the water, and what I've done is just wet it, but not all the way across, because we're going to try to go from wet to dry, and the ripples where the rocks are hopefully will come automatically. Cobalt blue and light red, so I'm just going to test it on the water there. I like that colour here, and bring it to there. And then hopefully take it through here, make it nice and dark as we come down to the foreground. Dry your brush completely off. Just drag all the way across with the dry brush. Just taking the wetness out of it. Cross over the rocks. Strengthen it up where you think you need it. The cobalt blue and light red. Bring it to where I nearly want it. Dry the brush off. Put it across. Same here on the bottom. Brush off. So you're now going from wetting to wet on dry automatically, and this shows you why we have masked the rocks off. Some cobalt blue just to change the shade in certain areas. And as you can see, they get lighter as your brush runs out of paint. And take a flat brush with some clean water, just dry it and just lift off some areas just for some interest. That's where you want the water to look deep. Ultramarine and burnt umber. And at the same time, with the same mix of the sky colour. Just a few strokes down the waterfall. This could be a bit difficult while it's wet. Let's just make sure I haven't got too much paint on. And just indicate. which way the water is flowing. Bring it round and near that rock. Over. And with a waterfall, it's the more you leave out rather than the more you put in. Strengthen the tops. Just take a brush, lift a little bit out, scrumble it to make a little bit of foam. Okay, I've just zoomed in a bit, I've turned the board round. What we're going to do is going to paint the trees right down to where the masking fluid is, and we'll turn these into birch trees. This is a 00 rigger. It's a very, very fine brush, and you can actually go nuts with this. You can really make this very intricate, and we might just do that. I'll just do a few strokes of this just to give you the general idea, and then you can carry on. Welcome back. Hopefully you've managed to get your trees to look something like that. So now I'm just going to take a brush and we're just going to re-wet some of the areas here, and we're just going to bring some really strong browns in for an autumn colour. Burnt sienna and a touch of ultramarine. I'm going to put some shadow under the trees, indicate the lay of the land, but still have fun with this. It's a really nice painting to do. And if you've enjoyed it, it would be nice to see some if you sent me some on Facebook. Pull it down. Really strong around here because all the grasses have died off. And if you'd like to see further videos, please subscribe, or you can leave me a message if you subscribe and tell me what you'd like to see painted next, and I'll see if I can do it for you. With the 00 rigger, I'm just going to pull a few grasses. That's fully loaded, and wipe it, and that's a damp brush, and you soften these edges off. Take some from around that tree because I want to bring that bush out, and the back off. Bring the edges down. Now that the painting's dried out a little bit, what we've done is just rub the masking fluid off the rocks and the trees, and we will continue to paint these birch trees. One side, and just remember to drag some across, sort of in a round stroke, pull some into the ground, soften it into the ground with a damp brush, and then just repeat the process on the rest of the 3 trees. Hopefully you've got all your trees to look like that, and what I've just gone ahead and done is just re-wet these 3 rocks at the back. We're going to do them all this way, so you can actually wet them all if you want to, but I'll just show you how to do a couple. I don't want them to be too strong because we're going to put some darks in, some cracks in, so I'll just put a few there, bring it down. Rogue colouring, this is Aurelian, and I just want to touch it in the tops. When it hits the sky mixture, it will turn green, and hopefully it should look like moss. On the side, some shadow there, and we'll put some dark on here, and do the same to the rest of the rocks. Welcome back. Hopefully you've got your rocks looking like that with the yellow tops. You can see how it's drifted down and looks a little bit like moss. What we're going to do now is just soften the bottoms off some of these rocks, and this will help actually attach them to the ground. Okay, now with a very fine brush you can just pick out some cracks in the rocks and very finely put them in. This will add more interest to your rocks and your painting. And what we're going to do now is we're going to put some shadows, some reflections in on the water, and you don't want the water to touch the rock if you can help it. But sometimes you can't help it, it just does it. I'm just going to put a few just there, and we want some here where it would reflect in the deep parts. The sky mixture again, just add it in. Don't be frightened of putting it in and re-wetting your paper. It's not that difficult. From here, just where the deep part is, just soften these reflections off. So we'll be back in a moment. Now the mixture of cobalt blue and burnt umber, we'll just add some ripples in. Across. That might be a bit dark. Try to keep these level. As you can see, I'm having a little bit of trouble. Leave that to dry. Come back. The only thing that's left to do now is scrape some ripples in with a craft knife, which I've done. Then all you've got to do then is sign it and frame it. I hope you've enjoyed this picture, and I hope you subscribe to this channel for more videos to come later. Thank you very much for watching.